Hi folks, this is Matt Becker at KeysMyaths.com, and today we're going to look at a Commander deck. I've been playing quite a bit of Commander as, I've waited for the format to rotate in Standard and waited for a little bit of a better limited format, and I haven't been able to stick the time I've wanted into it just because of work obligations and life obligations. So, playing a lot of Commander because it's easy to just pick up and do, and, the cards don't rotate, things like that, and so, definitely discovered a lot of things. Kind of want to do a little bit of a deck tech here. This is a Thada Adel deck, and so for those who don't know what Thada Adel does, basically your goal, get him out early, take some of their best cheap artifacts, go after the guy with the Mana Crypt, the Soul Ring. That's going to be pretty evident who's playing those kind of cards and who's not. And then later on, definitely go get the big stuff. So a lot of it revolves around Thada Adel, and at the same time, a lot of it is just basic blue stuff. You're going to see a lot of different things in here, a few combos, but at the same time, a lot of very good cards and, a lot of control cards and a lot of cards just to be able to hold the game while you win a little later on. So kind of take you through on, a mana curve basis. Early on, we definitely just want to ramp. Even with, only a 3 casting cost general, there's a lot of things we want to do later on, and you can definitely see down here. So, Sol Ring, Mana Vault, top, Felwar Stone, Greaves, things like that. There's cards I do want to take out of this deck. Phyrexian Revoker hasn't been that good. Even Merchant Scroll hasn't been that great. But, they're in there for now. Revoker has been good against, mainly against Joyra. That a good Joyra deck just crushes us, and Revoker's really nice to just plop down and not let them go off early on before they can kill him, and most other people won't kill him if you name Joyra. So down to the 3 drops, couple swords in the deck. Shackles is amazing. And then you'll notice a couple of counter spells in this deck. Hinder's one of them, but you're not going to see a ton. We're going to tap out usually. We're drawing a lot of cards. We do have Gauntlet of Power, Cage Sun, Extraplanar Lens to double, triple, quadruple our mana. But at the same time, we want to be able to tap out and not really worry too much about it. So you're going to have things like Force of Will, Desertion, Cryptic, and Hinder, but you only want the really good counter spells and Mana Drain as well. Mainly because, when we use a counterspell, we really want it to affect the board. Cryptic, can cycle itself, return an annoying permanent, things like that. Hinder's great because, it just takes out their general permanently. And then, Desertion's always awesome. They want to play their general, or they want to play something ridiculous like Praying Evil Titan or something of that nature. Just grab it for yourself. That's pretty cool. So, moving on here, Extraplanar Lens, you'll notice that, we have Gauntlet of Power and Cage Sun in this deck, and Extraplanar Lens, and you notice we really want to double our mana quite a bit. It works really well with Treachery, works extremely well with Palinchron. It's an infinite mana combo, even with just one of them out. And, quite a few things we can do with infinite mana. My favorite is Memnarch, take all their permanents. Just casting a bunch of dudes, casting Ulamog, casting Gitaxis. But, Blue Sun Zenith for the win, if you're 1-on-1, or just take somebody out with it. Quite a few things you can do. But, at the 4 and 3 drop level, we want swords, we want things that affect the board. A little bit more ramp. Probably going to take some of this ramp out eventually. Sisei's Ring hasn't been that great. But, Propaganda is really nice. Heuristic Study is really nice. The reason Propaganda is so nice is, on Moto and, most casual games, you're going to play a 3 or 4 player game. And even though they know that you're playing Thada Adel and, your deck's pretty good, they're going to be hesitant to attack you because they don't want to spend the 2 mana or 4 mana, even with 1 or 2 big creatures, when they can just attack somebody else for free. Everybody's pretty tight with their own mana, and so when you put something like that out, it's almost like a one-sided moat that affects flyers, which is really cool. So going to the 4 drops, Phyrexian Metamorph is insane. I like Cologne. Metamorphs obviously quite a bit better. Rider Replication, you usually kick it, but at the same time, it can just be a clone in itself. Solemn Simulacrum, excellent card. Works really great when you get it under a Mimic Vat. So moving on to the 5 drops, a couple more counter spells here that we saw earlier. Memory Jar, certainly insane once you get the mana ramp going, or you get a Cage Sun or Gauntlet of Power out, just because you can draw 7 cards and just cast them all that turn. Body Double is a bit iffy. There's cards that I'd call the worst cards in the deck. Body Double's probably one of them. You want to be winning by the time you copy something in their graveyard, so there might be a better 5 or 6 drop we can use there. Going to the 6 drops, Kega the Tidestar, surprisingly good. It sucks when they wrath, obviously, but at the same time, you're gonna grab something. It prevents people from attacking you. You want to just kind of stay alive with this deck. Duplicate and Worm Coil Engine, pretty standard. Time Spiral can be great, can be okay. It's in the deck because of all the duplicate mana effects. You can with Time Spiral, you can just really just go off with 18, 24 mana in a turn, and then try and set off a combo or something like that. All Is Dust is insane just because a lot of our permanents are artifacts, or Ulamog, and it's going to clear the board without clearing your stuff. Palancron, obviously, a combo enabler. Sundering Titan's just really good. Sometimes you end up having to destroy your own island, but that's okay. Jinkataxis. Jinkataxis is what I like to call an auto-concede card. So, along with Ulamog. So, it's one of those cards that when you cast it and people don't have an answer for, you just win. And you want, a few of those cards in your deck. So, Jinkataxis, you can get a couple swords on him. You can get Lightning Greaves on him in order to make him impossible to deal with. If you hold a counter spell back or something like that, it's really nice as well. Or you can draw a counter spell at the end of the turn with his ability. So Blue Sun Zenith is more of a combo card, but can draw you cards at the same time. A couple other cards of note in this deck, even though every card's in there for a pretty good reason. Teferi, you don't really want them doing much on your turn, so it's more that than the ability to cast a Kega and block or something like that. Couple other cards. Thirst for Knowledge has been okay. Grand Architect's been okay. Even with all the artifacts in this deck and all the blue creatures in this deck, it's been underwhelming. Magus has actually been good. Magus of the Unseen has been good in the fact that it can take their Greaves, so you can take control of their creature. It can take the high power artifacts, or just really mana screw somebody if they're relying on a Sol Ring, or a Mana Vault for that matter. So let's see, and over a couple lands of note. Academy of Ruins is a must. Teleria West can search for any of these. Mana Crypt's insane. Ancestral Vision's very good. Vesuva can copy any of this stuff. Workshop is amazing, not only because you're ramping out a Basalt Monolith, or you're ramping out a Sisay's Ring, or a Grim Monolith, or Greaves, or whatever. But when you take their stuff with Thada Adel, you can cast it with Mishra's Workshop, which is really nice. Reliquary Tower is a must. I wish there were more effects like that. I'm not desperate enough to play Spellbook, but in this deck you do get over 7 cards quite a bit. Maze of Ith is obvious. Ancient Tomb and Riptide Laboratory should be obvious. So yeah. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about with this deck. Probably a few too many ramp effects, but I've realized with decks like this, you can never really have too many, just because you're relying on the big casting cost cards to make them concede or just win on the spot. As far as power level of this deck, I'd probably give it an 8 or 9 out of 10. I do feel there are more powerful generals, Tenna being one of them, that I use quite a bit, but at the same time, when Thada Adel gets going early, it's pretty impossible to stop. Go turn 2 Thada Adel into something and just grab Sol Ring, Mana Crypt, and then start grabbing their big artifacts. In a 3-player game, it makes you the enemy early, but it also makes you impossible to deal with. So, until next time, we will probably play a game with this deck and be looking for that, and then do a few more deck techs, and then when M12 comes out, we'll do a bit of drafting. We'll probably do a bit of standard and go from there.